Hello everybody, Brandon here, and I've been playing a lot of Nintendo 3DS lately. I've been playing some Dragon Quest games, playing Kid Icarus Uprising. This is legitimately one of the best platforms Nintendo has ever put out, and with that comes a lot of great software. So I've been racking my brain thinking of my top 10 favorite Nintendo 3DS games, and I think I've come to my conclusion. If you don't agree with my list, that's great. Tell me yours in the comments below, tell me why I'm wrong, or realize that I'm right. That's enough preamble, let's get into it. Number 10. Pushmo. Pushmo, or Pull Blocks if you're John, is an adorable downloadable 3D puzzle game developed by Intelligent Systems. It has a pretty unique premise, having the player, a squishy sumo wrestler named Mallow, pushing and pulling blocks in order to ascend Pushmo structures and save the kids. The kids have trapped themselves inside them because they're stupid, and Mallow doesn't like stupid. So he saves the stupid kids. Pushmo is such a joy to play. Its simple premise allows for some pretty creative and sometimes difficult level designs. Some levels are even art pieces, like one based on Mario's 8-bit head. And if the 250 in-game puzzles weren't enough for you, you can design your own and share them with QR codes. You get a lot of play for the $6.99 this game cost at launch. It even spawned a few sequels, including Crashmo, Pushmo World on Wii U, and Stretchmo. The series has been unfortunately dormant since, but hopefully we'll see a new iteration in the future for Switch, or its successor. Number 9. Fire Emblem Awakening. So, I wasn't a Fire Emblem fan when this first came out. In fact, the only reason I gave the game a shot was because of the demo they released on the eShop, and that short demo impressed me enough to completely dive in. And wow, this game is so good, and thank God it was. Awakening would have been the end of the Fire Emblem series had it not succeeded. Now, we're swimming in Fire Emblem, much to Daniel's joy. Systems like pairing characters together on the field and recruiting the cast children to your team make this game stand out amongst other Fire Emblem games. The game lowered the barrier to entry by adding a casual mode, which removed permadeath. For me, permadeath was pretty stressful, but now I didn't have to worry about that. And for core series fans, they could still play the game with classic settings. The story and characters are both great. There's plenty of voice acting to be found, which produced quite possibly my favorite thing ever said in a video game.
Pick a god and pray.
It's so good. Number 8. Animal Crossing New Leaf. So I wasn't really an Animal Crossing fan either before this game came out, but I had a few friends excited to pick up the game, which is what eventually made me pull the trigger, and I'm so glad I did. Animal Crossing New Leaf is the quintessential Animal Crossing experience. Getting to be mayor of your own town added a lot of new possibilities to the gameplay experience. Now, you could build bridges, lighthouses, redesign buildings, and so much more. You could even set a town ordinance to determine the direction of your town. You could make your town beautiful, make shops open earlier or later, or cause an economic boom by making things cost more to buy and sell. But it's the online experience that really sold me. Getting to play this game with my now wife and just enjoy each other's company makes this game so much more special to me. Even if the functionality was limited, just fishing together or playing the occasional minigame on Tortimer's Island was so much fun. Number 7. Metroid Samus Returns. Finally, a sorta new 2D Metroid game. Metroid Samus Returns is a really important game. It gave us a reimagined version of Metroid 2, but more importantly, it put Metroid back on the map. While we were eagerly awaiting more news about Metroid Prime 4, this game came around and reminded everyone why 2D Metroid is great. And I can't overstate the reimagined part of the experience. Metroid Samus Returns might as well be a brand new Metroid game. While it covers the basic narrative of Metroid 2, it has a bunch of new features, 3D graphics, and fully fleshed out environments. It's really only Metroid 2 in name. Samus can now fire in 360 degrees, which allows for a lot more freedom in puzzle design and battles. Probably the most important feature is her new counterattack. Now, Samus isn't entirely defenseless in battle. You could make the argument that this move is too powerful and turns many encounters into waiting games, but I think it's a step in the right direction for the series. If you've played Metroid Dread, the excellent follow-up to this game, go back and play Samus Returns. It's worth it. Number 6, Rhythm Heaven Megamix. I miss Rhythm Heaven, man. But probably not as much as Ash. Megamix is a sort of greatest hits collection of past Rhythm Heaven games, while also including some new games of its own. They're introduced to you via the game's story mode, which is surprisingly long. A lot of these games are standout, and there's plenty here to keep you going for a perfect score. If you've never played a Rhythm Heaven game, this is a great place to start. There are only 24 games missing from this collection, so, while not complete, you'll still get a pretty good view of what the series has to offer. So many of the series games are memorable, and seeing them remastered here for this 3DS game is fantastic. Play this game with a good set of headphones, and you're gonna have a great time. Number 5, Dragon Quest VIII Journey of the Cursed King. Look, Dragon Quest VIII on the 3DS is really impressive. They took a beautiful PlayStation 2 game and just squished it and crunched it and put it in a 3DS, and it works. Other than resolution, the only meaningful downgrade in this release is the soundtrack not being fully orchestrated. But it's pretty hard to complain about that. Random encounters are replaced with enemies on the field, allowing you the freedom to engage. I'm not big on random encounters, so this is a big plus for me. But probably the biggest additions are the new party members and the expanded story content. So even if you've played the game before, there's more here for you to experience. Battles can also be sped up, like in Dragon Quest XI's, and it just makes for a better experience for the player. Despite all the new and improved stuff, the game's just good. This is Dragon Quest's first 3D adventure, and they nailed it from the beginning. I'd love for this game to be available on modern platforms, but for now, it's a 3DS great. Number 4, Super Mario 3D Land. Super Mario 3D Land marries concepts from the 2D and 3D games to make something brand new. It retains the power-up system and point A to point B level structure of the 2D games, while introducing abilities and level design concepts that you'd see in the 3D games, namely the Galaxy games. You'll see a lot of that inspiration in the level design. They're linear, well-executed, platforming bliss. There's some great new music tracks like the one you're hearing right now, but there are a lot that are lifted from previous games. The overall look of the game, while pleasing, does lean into that homogenized generic Mario that we got flooded with in this era. And while that's disappointing, the game underneath is just plain fun. It really takes advantage of the 3D in the 3DS. You can gauge your jumps better with that added depth. There are also some cool optical illusions that the 3D helps expose. The game also just does some memorable stuff. There's a whole top-down level that plays out like a Legend of Zelda dungeon. While you don't need to play this game with the 3D on, I think it's a better experience. The game is fairly easy, but you are given a second set of more difficult remixed levels. 8 more, in fact. It won't take you long to complete, but it's a blast along the way. Number 3, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. You knew this would be here. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is the first and only time a new generation of Monster Hunter launched on a handheld over a console. But that does nothing to detract from the experience delivered. Monster Hunter 4 made so many incredible changes to the series formula that are still present to this day. We said goodbye to underwater combat from Gen 3, rest in peace, and introduced verticality in its place. Now you're jumping off ledges, attacking from the air, climbing walls, and seeing the Monster Hunter world from a brand new perspective. It introduced one of my all-time favorite maps, the Ancestral Steppe. It's full of beautiful, warm colors that really come alive on 3DS. This locale ended up being the battlefield for the Rathalos boss battle in Smash Ultimate. I really wish it had been added as a full stage. Monster Hunter 4 also really brings you into the narrative by introducing monsters with cutscenes that include your hunter in them. This is the first time the series really pushed the story like this, and it still does today. But of course, there's the multiplayer, the best part of Monster Hunter. Unlike 3 Ultimate before it, this game was entirely playable online on the 3DS, and it was magnificent. This will be one of the biggest losses when 3DS Online goes down. You can still enjoy 4th Gen Monster Hunter with Generations Ultimate on the Switch, but this core entry is going to sleep. For now. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. It's incredible. What else can I say? Returning to this version of Hyrule in 3D was truly something special. Link to the Past was my very first Zelda game, and its Hyrule is very important to me. The way it looks, the music, the little Hylian soldier enemies, it scratches my brain in just the right way. While also paying homage to a classic, this Zelda game is very experimental in its own right. For the first time, we have the freedom to tackle the core dungeons in whatever order we want. And instead of obtaining items from the dungeons themselves, now we rent them from Ravio, who has decided your house is his now. He really did just move in. The catch is that if you die while renting his items, they get returned to him and you have to pay for them again. This adds a nice risk versus reward factor. You could very well rent his entire stock and have access to all your items. Or you could play it safe and only take what you need. It's entirely up to you. Eventually, you have the ability to buy them outright and even upgrade them. In a way, obtaining your items is even more gratifying than finding them in dungeons. Link Between Worlds is a feast for the eyes in 3D. Seriously, play this with the 3D on. The Tower of Hera is especially cool with the 3D as you spring from floor to floor. This game's engine was reused for Triforce Heroes. And before you start groaning, this game's fantastic. And John agrees. It's a blast with friends! Give it a try before the service shuts down for good. Number 1. Kid Icarus Uprising. How does Sakurai do it? Seriously, I don't understand. He revived a dead character for Smash Bros. Brawl, and then developed a brand new adventure in a different genre, and then pieced out to make more Smash. This game is a feast for the senses. Flying through the sky in the flight sections is jaw-dropping in 3D. And despite all the hand cramps I got from playing the on-foot sections, I still couldn't put the game down. Pit has access to so many weapons of various types. You could even fuse them together, combining their abilities to make new weapons. Hours of my time was spent just doing this alone. You could take these weapons into the story, or take them online in the shockingly robust multiplayer modes. I spent so many hours playing Light versus Dark. I only wish you could team up with friends and play against random teams together. But it didn't stop me from playing. It was that good. The story is so much fun. It plays out like a villain of the week Saturday morning cartoon with excellent characterizations of Pit and Palutena. Their English voice performances are full of so much love and charm. I love watching Palutena pick on Pit.
If you have an all-seeing eye, why can't you see Pandora's location?
Because of my slightly botched laser eye surgery.
He's gullible, but lovable. He's the perfect best friend character. You can't help but root for this guy. It's a shame the series went dormant again right after this, because they went so hard on the marketing. They released tons of AR cards, and 3 different anime specials from 3 different studios. The last time we really got to see these characters in action was Palutena's reveal trailer for Smash 4. I hope every day that we get an HD remaster or a sequel for the Switch. By the end of the credits, I wasn't ready to say goodbye to these characters. I'm begging. Please make more. And that's that. Those are my 10 favorite Nintendo 3DS games. I want to know what yours are. Please leave them in the comments below. It's a real shame that the online service is being shut down sometime in April. There are a ton of great games that you can play online with friends. A ton of them that I put right in this list. Look, Nintendo Switch is a great platform, but there are a ton of great games that you can still only play on Nintendo 3DS. If you've got one, dig it out. If you don't have one, they're really cheap now. But that's going to do it for me. I have to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf for my Nintendo 3DS. Actually, I'm probably going to play Monster Hunter, but thanks for watching.